You know, Vic, every time I pick up a Kelly Rimmer book, I automatically open my computer up and get Google out. You know why? Because her books are so invested when it comes to history and a knowledge of it, and I start reading the book, and it takes me 3 times longer to read a book than it should, but I just get so involved because I start reading her books and I go, oh, did that really actually happen? Or is she making that up? And I go to the book, and I go, yeah, did it happen? And I go back.
So true.
It's tiring, but it's so fascinating.
Yeah. Her research is phenomenal, and I must say, every time I read it, I think, oh, you're so smart. I really want to meet you.
How clever is she?
Because I know that each and every one of her books, she writes incredible historical fiction, and each of them has their own research. But the residual knowledge she must have, because she's written a lot of World War II era.
Yeah.
Also Orphan was our last one that we talked about, and I really enjoyed that.
That was nice. That was
I cried
heavy.
a little bit in this one too. This is the new one. It's called The German Wife. We never meant to mention that. But I just think the knowledge she's got, that background knowledge that just must feed into everything she does, is absolutely brilliant.
The research is just like, I mean...
And it's enjoyable because it takes you back, it takes you in that place, and they, as you said, often inspired by real stories.
Yeah.
But she just takes you there and she puts you in that space. Now, Lee, this one is not rocket science, but it actually is rocket science.
Isn't that brain science?
No,
brain
it's
surgery?
Rocket
surgery.
There are
rocket
3 sort of
science.
distinct settings. There's Nazi Germany, World War II, and Jürgen and his wife, who are working in the rocket program. For the Nazis. And then we're in Oklahoma, small farm in the Depression era, and then fast forward, and the 2 couples from those 2 stories are in Alabama.
Yeah, a bit later.
A bit later
on. After the war.
When Jürgen and his wife and Sophie have been kind of pardoned, and they live this kind of, it's like being in witness protection, really.
Yeah.
In Alabama. And they're living on bases, a lot of Germans there and a lot of Americans, and not everybody gets on.
No, you're right there. So you got Sophie and Jürgen, and then he's a smart guy, and he gets recruited, obviously, with the Nazis to be part of their rocket program. So, first of all, I'd ask you the question, what would you do in that era, in World War II? And if someone of skill, and Hitler wanted people of skill to be part of the programs, you can't say no. So you've got to work on this program that you don't want to, knowing that program is going to hurt millions of people. But do you say no? Do you stand up to it? If you say no, you die, your family dies, everyone dies. Not only that, so that's a story in itself, but then post-war, when they get pardoned by the US government to work on their space program, and then it's that integration of the Germans who all got painted with the same brush. Didn't matter whether you supported the Nazis or didn't back in the time. And then they sort of like a real life version of the Real Housewives of Alabama, where you've got these people coming in. Yeah, you've got people coming in from Germany trying to integrate and live with, obviously the locals.
People start asking and questioning their story.
Yeah.
And it's not surprising. And I guess it was a lot of the women with that spare time on their hands, living in this situation environment. So the prejudices arise, and they think they've kind of escaped a lot of that prejudice and kind of almost racism in Germany, but there it is.
It's prevalent in that society right then as well. Because
and what we see from Lizzie and what she puts Sophie through, it's really interesting. I reckon if you're at book club, you're picking up one of these and you're having a good old debate about prejudices, about forgiveness, about what you would do in that situation, incredible moral dilemmas and ethical dilemmas.
Well, that's what Kelly does, doesn't she?
Yeah.
She makes you ask those questions, and you sit there, and we could sit here, you and I, with a bottle of wine and go through. What would you do, Vic, back in the day if you're a scientist? Would you work for it? Well,
if you don't die, your family dies.
Exactly.
They're not choices you and I in our privileged lives can imagine.
It's hard to put ourselves back in that situation, but she does a good job of putting us back there, doesn't she? Because it's
made me feel quite. Had a few moments, had a couple of little cries, not big cries, not blubbering ones, but I did have a few tears in this book. But it's got a really good heart. I think that would be the other thing I say to you as well. And I really enjoyed the challenges that it puts to you and where it puts your mind. And as I said, as always, she's just such a clever writer. And probably more recognised around the world than she has been in Australia in lots of ways, despite 11, great novels. But yeah, fantastic. Congratulations to Kelly Rimmer on another good German wife.
She's done it again.
For an accent from you.
I can count to 10 in German. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.